Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to AMC Mailbag. This is the Mailbag edition of AMC Movie Talk. Now, of course, every day on AMC Movie Talk, we take a couple of mailbag questions on the show and address your questions that you guys send in to us. But we get like 1,000 emails from you guys a week, so we thought we'd start this weekend show called AMC Mailbag, and all we do is address your questions. Now, as you guys can see, we are doing this show live today. As I move this thing over so Chris Lee can see the live stream, we're doing this show live today, and since it's a live show, we thought we'd make it a little bit special and bring like most of the crew in. So as you can see here, we got myself, we got John Schnepp is here joining us, production manager Dennis Zen, and of course the one and the only Chris Lee Kennedy over there on the end. Her and Dennis are getting snugly poo. And listen, so we've got a number of questions we've got pulled out that we're ready to address. But you can also jump into the live chat on our YouTube video here. Jump into the live chat, and you can put in questions or comments, talk amongst each other and stuff like that. Chris Lee over there at the end is going to keep an eye on that live chat board and let us know some of the cool things you guys are saying. But we're going to start off the show by running kind of normal, which is just by addressing your email questions. So let us start with the first question of the day. And the first question today comes to us from Chavez Poindexter. And Poindexter writes, "Hello, movie crew. Don't know who's hosting tonight, but I love you all, and we love you, Chavez. Anyways, my question is regarding Wonder Woman. Why can't they just make it? I say they just go full out, balls to the wall, and make a Wonder Woman movie for what she is, all mythology. I think if they really delve into the myth of it, like Man of Steel did, but with less exposition, we, the audience, need to visualize it. What do you think? Maybe they have her show up in Batman, I'm going to guess that's Batman versus Superman, at the end of the last second, and Blackout, Wonder Woman, 2017. So let's start with, I know Chris Lee is a huge Wonder Woman person. So Chris Lee, what would you think about them? Just do it. Just do Wonder Woman.
You can't just do it. You can't just do Wonder Woman. They tried to just do an NBC pilot of Wonder Woman, and it was terrible. It was terrible. Adrian Pulicki, everything about it was terrible. So you can't just do it, and it's going to take time, and it's going to take a lot of kind of love, and it's going to take a lot of, I don't know. I also just don't think they can throw her into the Batman versus Superman either. I don't want to see that happen.
Dennis?
At all.
Yeah, I think because people are gun shy because of Elektra and Catwoman, and DC doesn't have the track record that Marvel does. Marvel, the audience trusts Marvel, so whatever Marvel puts out, people will go see it. DC, they're a little on the fence with, so I think not until you see her in Justice League and have like a really good reception, like the Hulk did in Avengers, will you see maybe a movie further down the line.
Schnepp?
I don't know. I wouldn't mind seeing like a little hint of Wonder Woman in the Batman versus Superman movie. Why not? I mean, they hinted at Lex Luthor and Bruce Wayne in the Man of Steel movie. Like just a little something.
I like that. The subtle hint I can do.
Yeah, subtle.
With the Twilight cup.
How dare
really?
You drink from your Twilight cup while I talketh. John can't be a if. So chuck Wonder Woman in there. Say, Poindexter, you got a point.
Here's the thing. I think a lot of times film fans, we are guilty as film fans of not caring. Because we'll just say, just do it. Just do it. It's like, well, you know what? Just doing it requires pulling together, like, with marketing and everything, $200, $300 million to put together. You're rolling the dice really big on a risk. And I love that you brought that up, Chris Lee, about, hey, they did try to just do it.
Yeah, didn't work.
Let's just do a Wonder Woman show.
I'm just saying, maybe throw Steve Rogers in the plane, or like, not Steve Rogers. What's his name? The one.
Colonel Rogers or whatever.
Major Nelson. What's his
name?
Yeah,
I think it's Rogers.
Yeah, something like that.
But look, we've talked about Wonder Woman a lot on this show, and look, the reality is, we all as fans can sit here and say, I mean, just do it. I mean, it'll be great, blah blah, and that's easy to say. But the reality is, it's a huge risk because there is. What was the one with Charlize Theron? That she was the
Ian Flux.
And there was Anne Flux. You got Catwoman. You got Elektra. And yeah, they were all bad movies, but it is a roll of the dice. And studios can lose hundreds of millions of dollars, and lots of people can lose their jobs. And you can't just do it. You can't just throw $300 million. I think because they need to be, and I think we as fans would want Warner Brothers at this point to be more cautious. We want them to don't just throw something out there, do what Marvel did and have a plan. Know where you're going with everything. Know how it's going to fit into everything and be very, very careful. You know, we talked on the show yesterday actually about somebody had wrote in the mailbag a question about Miss Marvel. And, you know, there's some whispers going around like now that maybe Katie Sackhoff is talking to them about Miss Marvel. They do have a finished script. And the mailbag question that came in was, do you think DC is going to sit and wait to see what Marvel does with Miss Marvel? And I think DC would love if Marvel would roll the dice first and that DC just gets to sit back and say, okay, where's the audience at? Is the audience ready for a female lead superhero film? Because you know they want to do Wonder Woman. They want to do it bad, I think, but they want to see somebody else. Like, if another female superhero comes out first and works, do you think end of day we'll hear about a Wonder Woman movie?
I think so, but I think they're going to do Wonder Woman. Like, they've announced Batman vs. Superman.
You think they've already got a plan for her?
Yeah. I mean, because Flash is coming to, you know, he's going to be on CW with the Green Arrow. So I don't think that's going to hook up into the movie world.
I don't either, yeah.
But Wonder Woman's a really big character besides Batman and Superman, and it's the only female character that sticks out in the DC universe. I mean, they have Black Canary. They have a ton of female characters.
But they're B level.
Yeah, that's the A level. And if they do a good job on that, that's why not put a little, like, you know, hint of, you know, something Amazonian or something in the Batman versus Superman, but don't like make it a subplot. It's like an Easter egg, you know.
Chris, anybody in the chat board say anything about this?
Oddly enough, Peter Zeke said exactly what you said. Don't think she'll be in it, but they could have Easter eggs.
Yeah,
took the words right out of his mouth, Schnapp.
Like maybe some foreshadowing or whatever. Yeah, okay. All right, let's move on to the next question. The next question today comes to us from John Lawrence, who writes, my question is, now that Ben is the new Batman, do you think that we will see a change in his physique so that we will see at least have a beefed up Batman like in the comic and the games without the molded rubber suit to kind of make it look more believable that Ben Affleck Batman is even physically able to go up against Man of Steel? Because Henry Cavill was pumped as Clark without the suit and cape. Yes, he was. I know the suit was was a little padded, but at the most I think it was Cavill himself. We don't want a slender Daredevil being Batman. Shoots. I don't know what shoots me. Shoots! Look at
and ladders.
And ladders. And we were just playing
Grand Theft Auto.
Grand Theft Auto 5. Shoots. Look at the pictures you posted of Mel Gibson. The dude is huge. So, John, what are your thoughts on my question or questions? Do you know if Ben has taken the physical part of the role as an iconic hero seriously? Well, I mean, yeah, Ben has taken it seriously. And let's not forget, you know what? I'm always shocked by when I found out how many people have not seen The Town and have not watched Argo. Watch The Town. Ben Affleck is already, like right now, without any more gym time, he's already the biggest Batman we've ever had on screen. Not just height-wise, but the dude is built. And, you know, the workout routine they're talking about, like right now he's in the gym about 3 hours a day. And they said after a few months he's going to be up to like 6 hours a day in the gym. So he's taking it seriously. And you're right about Henry Cavill, dude. I mean, I remember my first meeting with Henry Cavill. It was for Immortals. And so he come in, and I'm expecting, look, I'm so used to these movie stars coming in being my height or a little bit shorter. And Cavill comes in, and I'm here, and Cavill's here, and he's in a suit shirt with his arms crossed, just talking, and his arms are like this big. And I'm like, holy crap, you're pretty jacked, dude. And so you're right. I mean, Ben has to at least match that. Idealistically, he's got to be bigger than Cavill because Cavill's Superman. So if you're going to be Batman, you got to have whatever edge you can. So I think he's taking it very seriously. You guys?
I think he's taking it very seriously, but also in reference to the suit, because he mentioned something about the rubber suit and whatever. He can't have a costume like Superman Henry Cavill has because he's Batman. He's not invulnerable to bullets. Right. So you have to explain how is he able to take gunshots. And putting a little thin spandex or whatever, or even a mesh over his body is not going to work. So having some sort of plated armor, whether rubber or whatever, kind of explains that. So I think no matter what, no matter how yoked he's going to get, they're still going to have
and
like
Superman's suit came from Krypton.
Yes. Right.
So we can't expect him to have the same suit.
But I also feel like he doesn't have to get so much bigger because we know that this is an older, weathered Batman. So he's not going to have to be so huge that it's unbelievable, but they've gone to say that he's going to be a little bit older and more weathered and more seasoned.
Sleepy.
He's a little sleepier.
Superman.
So I don't think he has to be quite
Batman.
as big. I mean, he's pretty big already.
I'm one of these guys who I would like, I talk all the time about, hey, change the gender of a character, change the hair color. I don't care. Just get the key essential core elements. Everybody disagrees with me, and that's cool. But to me, one of the core essential key elements about Batman is he is the absolute epitome of human physical perfection. You cannot be now. Okay, geek moment. I played the DC Heroes role-playing game. I played it a lot. It's a desktop game, actual dice, paper, and pencils. Anyway, DC ranked him, his strength level was as high as human physically possible can be. Not that the movies have to follow the role-playing game. But I've always wanted my Batman. When you look at any incarnation of Batman, in any of whichever artist is drawing him at the time, he is this physically dominating, big, intimidating dude. And I'm just done with the 210-pound Batman. I want the bigger guy, so I would like to see, personally, I'd like to see Bruce a little bit bigger.
I think also Batman is supposed to strike fear into the criminal. So that's the whole idea of him dressing up as a bat is not only did he train to be a detective, to be able to find clues before the cops do, but also to be able to avoid bullets by being super fast and agile and also wearing a black cloak. So I expect the Batman in this Batman vs. Superman, probably a couple different outfits.
That's probably pretty accurate. If he goes
toe to toe with Superman, he's going to have that armor and a bunch of other kind of he's going to throw everything at Superman.
Crystal, anybody saying anything in the chat board about Affleck and how big Batman should be or shouldn't be?
We're still on Wonder Woman. We're still on your Twilight Cup. Your Twilight Cup is going over very big in the chat roll today. Bring on the Twilight Cup.
We all know what John secretly likes.
It sparkles. The cup is sparkling.
And you make fun of my Mortal Instruments love. How dare you?
He just pretends he doesn't like Twilight.
It's just the biggest cup I could put water in today. Come on, give me a break, guys. All right, let's move on to question number 3 then. Question number 3 today comes to us from Anthony, and Anthony writes, I agree with John that The Amazing Spider-Man was better than Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man film. However, Spider-Man 2 still remains my favorite Spider-Man film and comic book movie of all time. Do you think that The Amazing Spider-Man 2 has the potential to give Spider-Man 2 a run for its money? At the very least, do you think it will be an improvement over its 2012 predecessor, which I really loved? I look forward to hearing your thoughts, and your show is amazing. Keep up the great work, guys. Thank you so much, Anthony. Dennis, let's start with you. Does The Amazing Spider-Man 2 have the potential to be better than Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2?
It has the potential. I'm a little cautious just because they're throwing so much at it that it may be too much. But yeah, Spider-Man 2 was great, I like the first Spider-Man, the second Spider-Man from Sam Raimi. Obviously, I like Amazing Spider-Man better than the first one. But the one thing I did like, especially about the second Spider-Man, was that it was focused on Dr. Octopus.
Yeah.
It was very focused on it. And so we kind of got to know his character very well. And I'm not so sure if that's going to happen in Amazing Spider-Man 2. So it can, but I'm not. I don't know. I'm just cautious.
Schnepp?
Well, I don't think Doc Ock's going to be in 2. You're talking about Electro and how much they focus on
Electro.
Right.
It's a really hard call. I mean, they do have a lot of characters that they're introducing in Spider-Man 2. We already know that Rhino is going to play a small role. Yeah. We've got Electro. We've got Osborn and his son. Yeah. So the 2 Osborns. And I guess they cut out Mary Jane, so she's gone. But it has the potential to be just as good as Spider-Man 2, which I agree is the best of all the Raimi Spider-Mans. Not the best superhero film for me, but it's really one of my favorite. And then The Amazing Spider-Man right after it. So it could be the best Spider-Man yet.
Yeah, I got to agree. I do. I loved The Amazing Spider-Man. I thought it was great. But to me, Raimi's Spider-Man 2 is still the best Spider-Man movie. And it's in my top 3 or 4 best comic book films of all time. I just love it. I love the way that whole thing was handled. How everything went so wrong in Spider-Man 3 is a mystery to all of us. Does it have the potential? Look, I'm not one of these guys who thinks, if you're going to remake something or do a sequel to something, a lot of people say, oh man, why remake that? You can't make it better than the original. I'm not a believer in this whole notion that it's got to be better than the original. Like, for instance, so Amazing Spider-Man 2, I don't think it has to be better than Raimi's Spider-Man 2. Raimi's Spider-Man 2 was amazing. Just make a good movie. Just make it really good and solid. Now, I really do hope that the other part of your question, Anthony, is will it be better than the first Amazing Spider-Man? Well, I mean, that's the trend you hope to see, right? When you're watching a franchise and you're watching sequels, you hope to see that getting better and better. That's the trajectory you want to see. So, yeah, but I'm not going to walk out disappointed if it's not as good as Raimi's Spider-Man 2. And that's the way. What about you, Chris Lee? Like, when you look at your Spider-Man films, what do you think is the best one, and how do you think the Amazing Spider-Man 2 will work out?
The Amazing Spider-Man is by far my favorite Spider-Man movie. I liked everything about it, the casting, the effects, everything, the story. There was even parts of it that I liked better. And I think The Amazing Spider-Man 2 has the potential to totally beat out Spider-Man 2. For
All
sure.
right.
For sure.
All right, well, let us know, guys, in the chat, by the way. What is the best
chat roll
Spider-Man?
is, however, telling us that they're having a little bit of a problem hearing Schnapp, so...
Oh, okay, well, we'll
we're going
make
to
sure.
have to...
Check 1, check 11,
Scoot
check
you
15.
Scoot it. Now can you hear
Make sure
me?
they can hear you.
All right, let's move on. But by the way, and jump into the comments, guys, and let us know what your thoughts here are on Spider-Man. All right, let's move on to I believe we're on the fourth question now. Mm-hmm. The fourth question comes to us from Matthew Johnson, who writes, I was wondering why actors like Jean-Claude Van Damme, Steven Seagal, Dolph Lundgren, and Wesley Snipes have been doing straight-to-DVD or video-on-demand films for the majority of their careers, give or take a few years. Do actors get blacklisted or typecast if they do these sorts of films? I heard Van Damme turned down an offer from Universal hoping to get more money, but that it didn't happen, nor an offer from elsewhere. But what about Lundgren? There is something about him that makes me think he could lead or support more big-budget movies other than Expendables. What do you guys think? Well, I'll start this one. No. No, he couldn't. People are not lining up to go see Dolph Lundgren movies. I love Dolph Lundgren. I think he's great. I think he's a lot of fun. I love interviewing him. I think he's a total hoot. But the reason Jean-Claude Van Damme and Wesley Snipes and Steven Seagal don't get leads in movies because people won't pay money to go out and watch them. There are very few of us who would. I'd go see a new Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, but I'm the minority. And those of us who are also fans of Jean-Claude, we are in the vast minority. People aren't lining up to buy tickets to go see a Steven Seagal movie anymore. It's not worth it to a studio to pay $70 million to make and market a film with Steven Seagal leading the way, waving the flag. Look, you can make these little $3 million films on video on demand and get $4 million worth of people to watch it, and they can continue to have a career. But other than that, I don't think it'll work.
Well, action heroes specifically also have a very short lifespan.
That's true. Unless you're Stallone or something like that.
Stallone even had a couple of stumbles. I mean,
that's true.
Cobra was not a giant hit. Paradise Alley, his second film out of the gate, was a failure.
His best film ever, Stop or My Mom Will Shoot, was tremendously underrated.
That's right.
I'm kidding.
It's a lost gem. No, so he's got a lot of stinkers, but then like how the roll of the die is like with action heroes, like you get like 3 or 4 movies, one of them has to be a hit. Then you get 3 or 4 more movies, one of them has to be a hit.
But eventually that ratio has to be better than 1 out of every 4.
And it goes down with every single action hero. That's why Wesley Snipes was a giant star 15 years ago. So if you're like, whatever happened to Dolph Lundgren? He was actually a big star for a very short amount of time.
Yeah,
like he was in Rocky 4,
and then he had a pretty decent European and Russian career. Actually,
he was cast as He-Man. He was the lead.
He was Master of the Universe, and then they did a series of action films in Eastern Europe with him as kind of like the Russian version of Rambo. I'm trying. I think it was Red Scorpion.
That was like almost direct to video. Like He-Man, he got that shot. He was like, "Here's the crown. You're He-Man." It was a failure. Go to DVD.
We must go and save
the
sorceress.
But I don't think they don't get blacklisted though. That's the thing.
No,
it's the audience, and also you're talking about they're talking about a bunch of actors from like the late 80s and 90s where that was the thing, and that trend is kind of gone because now you look at who are the action stars of today, and a lot of them are real actors, like a Matt Damon and Bourne, Jeremy Renner, Liam Neeson. You have all of those. I mean, even someone like The Rock, we've seen he can actually act. You know, he's not the best actor in the world,
developed,
but he's decent. You know,
he's pretty hilarious in Pain and Gain. Made me laugh the whole movie.
Yeah, I mean, he was good in Pain and Gain. He was good in Snitch. You know, and so I think you've seen it's more of a trend thing of where now the action stars are different. They don't have to be huge and big and bulky. Right. I mean, you have The Rock, but like some of them, like Matt Damon, you know, they're kind of like normal guys. So I think that's more of what it is.
Here, let me do my Dolph Lundgren He-Man. Quildor, where is Skeletor? Quildor, I am thirsty.
It's so funny.
Wasn't it like that? I remember.
It was.
When I look at all these guys' names, that's what I think of is those 80s action flicks that we all loved. And then I think of, look at Stallone's movie Bullet to the Head. I think I was the only one who went and saw that movie.
I did too, and I liked it.
I saw it and I did not like it.
You know, but those are
I
the
have
kind
not
of
seen
movies
it
those guys do, and no one's going to see those movies anymore.
But and you mentioned Stallone has survived.
He has.
Stallone can actually act.
Yeah.
You know, you've seen in Rocky and all those other things. So that's
What was
one
that?
thing.
What was that movie of his where he played like the town sheriff with Ray Liotta?
Copland.
Copland. He was so good in Copland.
That was a great film.
Yeah. All right. And by the way, folks, we've only got one or two more questions left here for Mailbag that we have sorted out. So if you got a question you want to ask on the show, just jump into the live feed here, throw it in. Chris Lee's keeping an eye on it. So, all right, let's go on to the fifth question today. And the fifth question comes to us from Luis Zapata, who writes, "Hey, AMC crew, what's up? I had a thought. Why aren't there more pirate movies? I know there's Pirates of the Caribbean films, and that's okay, I guess, but why aren't there more pirate films by other studios? There's a lot of different studios doing comic book movies and horror movies, so why is only one studio doing pirate movies? Is it because they don't want to compete with Disney, or they don't think it's profitable, or no good story there? I know there's the classic plot of pirates go and seek buried treasure, but I must believe that there has to be a writer that can do something more with these pirates. Personally, I would love to see a good pirate movie aside from Disney films." So, Dennis, why aren't there more pirate films?
I think as soon as a different studio besides Disney does a Pirates movie and it's successful, then people will hop on that bandwagon. But no one else wants to, because, you know, I think they think, and I think rightfully so, that Pirates of the Caribbean was like an isolated incident. I mean, comic movies and superhero movies, that's more of a big genre,
yeah.
You know, where Pirates movies very, very specific. You know, it's why you don't see that many Westerns anymore, because Westerns were very big back in the day, but they're not so big anymore. So they're less likely to take risks on them.
Dennis, we just had The Lone Ranger.
Oh yeah,
which did so well. It did so well.
And those movies are expensive. Westerns and pirate movies are expensive. If they were cheap to make, then I think people would take a risk.
Westerns should be so cheap to make. You just go out into the desert with some horses. Why is it $200 million? And they actually, all the backgrounds really still exist. It doesn't have to be CG. I just don't get it.
Because they have to get a train and ride around in circles.
Oh, it's so annoying.
And you know, a lot of people forget too. I mean, the thing is, right now we are in a period of time right now, and I think this period is going to be coming to an end in the next 5 or 6 years. But right now, when you think of a pirate film, that is synonymous with the Johnny Depp franchise. That's just the way it is. So if Universal right now wanted to step up and do like a pirate-themed movie, they know they're going to be facing an uphill PR battle, because everybody's just going to be saying, and the perception will be, however right or wrong, the perception will be it's a ripoff of Pirates of the Caribbean. That's just the era we're living in right now. And until we get about 5 or 6 years separated from the Johnny Depp franchise being done, I think that's just the way it's going to be. But also, let me remind you that the most successful, I'm not kidding, the most successful adult films of all time are actually running in a franchise right now. It's called Pirates and Pirates 2.
Did you just say adult films?
Yes, they're the most profitable adult films of all time.
They are.
Which is really weird. So those are pirate films. So you see people are waving the pirate. Right. No, but seriously, we need to get a few years removed.
Sex on a boat. But
Jesse Jane thanks you.
I'm sure Hollywood pays attention to what's on the rankings of the adult films.
Yeah,
they're like, oh man, it's trending. We got to make a movie
Video's
now.
#1 again? Yeah. What's going on?
Yeah. All right, let's move to the last question today.
I didn't get to talk about pirates.
Oh, we'll talk about pirates. You look like a pirate. Go ahead.
It was just Pirate Day.
Last question, and before we get to the live chat questions here, and the last question today comes to us from Del Go, who writes, "Just caught up with the Bieber episode, and at the end, you guys were saying that Routh," talking about Brandon Routh, the guy who played Superman in Superman Returns, "is unlikely to do another DC character. I, too, am also a Routh Superman fan. So I'm just wondering, and this question has been with me ever since the first Avenger. How did Chris Evans make the transition from Human Torch to Captain America then? Just curious. Well, so for those of you who don't know the background of what it is he's asking, and the background of this question is, somebody had asked before, hey, could we see Brandon Routh come back to the DC universe and play another DC character? My feeling was probably not. He's already been in the DC universe. Now, granted, the DC universe is rebooted now, but so he's already been in the DC universe as a character. I don't think they'll then want to make that fit. So the logical question that this thing is posing is, well, hey, look, Chris Evans was Human Torch, and then he was Captain America, all in the Marvel Universe. The significant difference here is that they're not in the same universe. Yes, he was in Fantastic Four, but that was with a completely different studio. That was a totally different, that was with Fox. It had nothing to do with Marvel. And then Marvel recruited him to play another superhero. Ryan Reynolds has done the same thing. He was Deadpool for Fox, and he was Green Lantern for DC. Completely different studios, completely different universes. This is still within the Warner Brothers wheelhouse. So he was already a superhero for Warner Brothers. I just don't think they'd want to bring him back. Now, I'm open to them doing it. Totally. I just don't think they will. You guys have any other thoughts on that?
Ben Affleck and Daredevil 2. No, you know what? I mean, I'm glad they picked Evans to be Captain America. I mean, I thought he was good in the few minutes that I watched of Fantastic Four because I never saw all of it.
He was actually pretty good in that movie. He wasn't bad. He wasn't bad.
He really embodied Captain America in such a great way that, you know, I mean, I'm sure all the other people who tried out with Evans when they were trying out for Captain America, they were like, well, we'll try him out, but Evans was the one to beat, and then he won. So.
Yeah. It worked out really well. What do you think, Dennis? Do you think that a guy can come back to the same studio, the same superhero universe, and play a different character?
No, I don't think so. I think what you said is right because it's technically not the same universe. It's Fox's Marvel universe versus Marvel's universe.
Yeah.
You know, that they can do that. Had Fantastic Four been under Marvel's banner when they made that movie, I don't think they would have used it.
I agree. I think you're absolutely right. If Fantastic Four had been under Marvel Studios, I don't think we ever would have seen Chris Evans as Captain America. Yeah. I don't think that would have happened. All right, folks. So listen, that's all the questions that we took in from the mailbag today. But now we're going to throw it over to Chrissy and see, Chrissy, have people been throwing up any comments or suggestions or ideas or questions into the live chat board?
We do. We have lots of questions. The first one that I picked out, because we haven't talked about this one in a while, is LP913 has a question. Do you think we will ever see William Shatner make an appearance in a future Star Trek movie? Perhaps the third one. Ooh.
Well, LP913, your answer, yes. No, I don't know. Who knows? That would be great. But Spock would not be allowed to be in it because Shatner would be like, he's already been in the other two. The third one's mine. You know, I would think.
One of my favorite things I've ever covered as a film journalist, and I use the word journalist very loosely, was at the Toronto Fan Expo. And I was one of the guys who got to go in and for the William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy panel, and it was just the two of them, and it was the two of them sitting there just telling these stories, and these two should go on the road. I'm telling you, Shatner and Nimoy together should totally go on the road. And it was just after they announced that J.J. Abrams was going to be remaking Star Trek, right? And somebody asked, hey, could either of you guys be in it? And Shatner was like, well, you know, I've never met JJ. He and I have emailed back and forth a couple of times, and this, and this. And Nimoy's like, I had lunch with him last week. And Shatner's like, you had lunch with him last week? He goes, yeah, we talked about some ideas. And it was like, and the way they both, I have a feeling Shatner already knew that, but they played it so great. Look, it's possible. I mean, because the way JJ brilliantly restarted this universe by incorporating the old into the current and yet making it totally new at the same time. It was a brilliant plot device, I believe. The way they've done it, they have opened the door that you could bring an old Captain Kirk into it if they so chose. The sense I get from the direction the films have been going, I don't think they will. But I know a lot of Star Trek fans would be excited if he did. I would be into it if they did, as long as they kept it relatively small, like the way they did with Leonard Nimoy. Dennis, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind it. I think it would be cool. The one thing, though, is that when you see Leonard Nimoy in the first two movies and you see Zachary Quinto as Spock, you see like a physical resemblance to each other. You throw up Shatner and Chris Pine, it just doesn't work, you know? So that'd be my issue with it.
You could have a joke like Pine is like, I'm going to look like you when I'm old? goodness.
But the funny thing is, I said this, I think, to the cast of the film before. It's like, you know what? They went out of their way a lot of times. They made Carl Urban look and feel like Bones. They made Zachary Quinto feel like Spock. And I feel like they did that with a lot of the cast, except for Captain Kirk. They went like, who cares? He doesn't look like Kirk. He doesn't sound like Kirk. But this is the new Kirk. And I think it worked. I like Chris Pine as that. What else we got, Chris Lee?
We have I'm gonna mess this name up. Marvita her question is, please get this on the air. Can we see Joker in 2015 for Batman versus Superman, and who could play it best?
No. No. I mean, we'll see the Joker again. We will. We are going to see the Joker again in this new DC universe. But there's no need at this point to take that, the king of the villains, especially in the Batman universe, and force him in this fast, this soon, when it's not even Batman's standalone film yet. So there's no need to do it. I don't think they will, but we absolutely will see. Now, as far as who we could see play Joker, there's a lot of great guys out there who could play Joker. I've always been a fan of the idea of Crispin Glover as the Joker, because I think the guy could be actually the Joker at night. I think there may be some town that he's running around at night killing people and putting smiles on their faces. I've always liked it, but there's a lot of great actors that could do it. I just don't want to see Johnny Depp do it. Not that I'm not a fan of Johnny Depp. I'm just sick of the shtick. I'm just sick. I want to see him do more serious acting. I think we as an audience deserve to see a talent like his doing more stuff like that. I'm tired of seeing him dressing him up in clown outfits and doing whatever. But I could totally see Crispin Glover. I don't know. There's a lot. What do you guys think?
I'd say Michael Fassbender as the Joker.
Oh, Fassbender would be a great Joker.
Very creepy, evil Joker.
Be pretty good. What do you think, Dennis?
I know I always say this. There's like 3 actors I always say, and this is one of them. I could see Benedict Cumberbatch. He's got that long, creepy face, you know? I always name him, Nathan Fillion, Idris Elba for like every role.
Every role. Idris Elba as the Joker.
Yeah. I almost said Cumberbatch.
All right, what else we got?
We have, what superhero that has not been done yet would you want the most to see? That's from Justin DeRoy.
Schnepp, you're the most learned of our comic book guys here. What comic book guy has not been made yet or touched yet that we'd like to see on the big screen?
Let's see. Since it's live, I don't get a chance. You have to see me think.
Well, I'll tell you.
Rocket.
I mean, this is a little bit of a cheating answer because we're about to see him on the big screen. I've always wanted Bishop from the X-Men universe. I've always wanted Bishop, and now we know that Bishop is going to be in X-Men Days of Future Past. One of my all-time, maybe my second all-time favorite comic book storyline was the Age of Apocalypse in the X-Men universe, and for those of you who read it, you know that Bishop is a very key player, the connecting tissue, if you will, through that whole thing, and the importance of Bishop, and his very cool. His personality is cool. His powers are cool, but he's going to be there. So it's a little bit of a cheat, but I would say Bishop. What about you, Dennis?
I mean, kind of along the same lines of that. I want to see Cable, just because. I mean, he's a significant part of the X-Men universe. I don't want to spoil anything of who he is and what his history is and what his lineage is and how he factors into that whole X-Men universe. So I'd love to see him.
And I would say Deadpool, because I can make an argument we have not seen a real Deadpool.
Yeah, we didn't see Deadpool.
I would like to see Deadpool.
Yeah, I was going to say the New Gods, which I had said as a
wish. You've referenced them before, too.
Any of Kirby's, they've been using Darkseid a lot as the main villain in a lot of the DC comics, but it'd be great to get Mr. Miracle and Orion and this whole kind of intergalactic otherworld dimension brought to Earth. I mean, I think that would be a great like Star Wars for DC. They already have their own Star Wars universe, and it's called New Gods.
All right, Crystal, what else we got?
A lot of people in the chat roll want Flash. They want a Flash movie.
Yeah, Flash movie would be good.
Ezra Kubera wants to know what you guys think about Gravity, if it will do well at the box office. He's worried that not enough people will go, especially since people keep laughing during the trailers in the theaters.
The movie... It's a great question.
Yeah.
Actually, how will this movie? Because from everything I have heard, Dennis saw this movie like 8 months ago. Like 8 months ago, Dennis saw this movie. From everything I understand, it's really good. We talked on the show recently about how James Cameron saw it, and he said that it's the best space movie he's ever seen. Now, personally, I think that's him being biased because he's trying to get everybody in the universe to use 3D, and the movie uses a lot of immersive 3D. But a lot of people are raving about it, but I don't know from the trailers I've seen. Here's my hesitation with this. The trailers I've seen for Gravity have all looked the same. And it's all Sandra Bullock spinning around in space. And the first time I saw that, I was totally taken with it. But as okay, new clip from Gravity, and watch it, oh, it's the same thing. New trailer from Gravity, oh, it's the same thing. And my fear, while I'm hearing that the movie is great, is that a lot of people are not going to find the marketing for this film appealing. I honestly, I don't know. I don't know if this movie is going to make $50 million opening weekend. I don't know if it's going to make $20 million opening. Do you guys have any kind of a guess? Dennis, you're the only one who's here who's seen the film.
I mean, I've seen it. I really liked it, but it's not even the marketing's fault because what you see is kind of what you get. So right. I don't think commercially it's going to be very successful because, it's kind of like I didn't see this movie, but Ryan Reynolds Buried, Right. Or what was that movie we saw together? Frozen? We saw Frozen.
Yep, Frozen.
It's like that. It's self-contained. And so therefore, that's why the marketing is so limited because it is limited.
Right. There's only so much you can show.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's going to be very successful.
That being said, though, I'll disagree. I think it's going to be a hit because of the sleeper type of talk. How everyone's been talking about that movie. Right. And I think that's building up so that once Friday hits, more people are going to see it on Saturday.
Well, I hope so.
I'm hoping.
I love it when good movies do well. And from all reports, this is a really good movie that we should be seeing. So let's have time for one more question because we're almost at the 40-minute mark here. So what do we got, Crystal Lee?
Addison Pettiford would like to know, hey guys, keep up the great work. Could Steve Rogers die in Avengers 2 and Captain America role be picked up by Bucky, which could lead to a Cap 3? Thanks, guys.
Logistically, that works. We know Captain America dies. Captain Rogers dies in the comic books. We know that was the culmination of the Civil War storyline, I believe. Sure, that could happen. I don't think it will. I don't think they're in the business right now of killing off guys like that. I think they're going to kill anybody off. I think it's either going to be Hawkeye or it's going to be. I think there's a really high possibility we're going to see Black Widow killed off because I don't think Scarlett Johansson is all that big on coming back from war anyway. So we could see that. They're not going to kill Iron Man because even when Robert Downey is done playing Iron Man, they're just going to recast it. I don't think they're going to kill Captain America at this point. I don't think they're going to kill Thor at this point. I think it's going to be one of those two standard normal human characters that not a lot of tons of people care about nearly as much. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think they're going to bring Agent Coulson back and then kill him for real in Avengers 2. But this time it's real until Avengers 3.
What do you think, Dennis?
Yeah, they're not going to kill Steve Rogers. I mean, they've invested so much money and brand recognition with that character. I mean, even if they have someone come replace him, I mean, they've also invested money in Chris Evans as that character. So
yeah.
There's no way they're going to do it. Yeah, maybe Hawkeye, maybe Black Widow, but I'm not even sure they'd do that.
See, I could see them doing it with Captain America if for whatever reason the movie-going audience wasn't connecting with Chris Evans as Captain America. But people like Chris Evans as Captain America. Not everybody, but most of the movie-going audience do. So, but who knows? if Winter Soldier bombs, maybe. Who knows what we'll see in the near future after that. Well, that'll do it for us, folks. We're at 40 minutes, so we're going to call it a day today. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, AMC Mailbag will be back again tomorrow. We're all going to be wearing the same clothes because we're actually going to pre-record tomorrow's show. But there will be another episode up tomorrow on, of course, our YouTube channel at youtube.com/AMC Theaters. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. We really appreciate it. I want to thank, as always, first of all, Mr. John Schnepp.
Hey.
Mr. Dennis Zen.
Hello.
And the one and the only, the vigilant. She's still typing with people over there. Crystal Lee Kennedy.
Thanks for playing with us, guys, on the comment section today.
Yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining us in the comment section. Don't forget, jump on down. Keep the conversation going just because